Indonesian Cooperation European Free Trade Association Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Table of content are the first introduction and the second is discussion. The first is definition of CEPA. CEPA is bilateral agreement in the form of an economic cooperation scheme, or in other words, a trade agreement between two countries. Cooperation in the CEPA can be carried out between two countries only or within the scope of bloc, such as a country and an association consisting of several countries. The next is about EFTA. The European Free Trade Association, or EFTA, is an alternative bloc for European countries that are not members of the European Union, which was formed on May 3, 1960. It aims to encourage free trade and economic integration of its members' countries. Currently, the countries that are members of EFTA consist of 4 countries. The first one is Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland. The next is history of Ie-Cepa. Indonesia's relations with EFTA countries began with bilateral cooperation negotiation in 2005 by forming a joint study group, or GSG. On 5 until 9 July 2010, the Swiss president made a citizenship visit to Indonesia to initiate negotiations. Initially, the name of the proposed cooperation between the two was Comprehensive EFTA-Indonesian Free Trade Agreement, which was changed to Indonesia-EFTA Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. The change was carried out to reflect the inclusion of the cooperation and capacity building in the agreement. Negotiations were officially held in January 2011 until 2016. And were considered substantially concluded or referred to as joint announcement in November 2018 and ended with the signing of this Ie-Cepa on December 16, 2018 in Jakarta. The next we will discuss about the factors that driving Indonesia to sign the Ie-Cepa. The first is disenchantment with liberalization multilateral level. The disappointment with multilateral system has a significant impact on the countries that prefer the bilateral system. The disappointment stems from the failure of WTO in creating regulations that are considered effective in international trade, marked by the failure of Doha Round as a forum for negotiation in multilateral trade under the auspices of WTO. This represents that multilateral negotiation with a number of members consisting of various countries will be very difficult to reach an agreement point. When the Doha Round failed, it lowered countries' confidence in the multilateral system and chose to carry out bilateral trade cooperation, including Indonesia. The next is BTA as stand attack less attention, which is defined as lack of attention from the media, the opposition, and anti-free trade BTA groups. With the lack of existing pressure, the negotiation process can be completed more quickly. The next is sector-driven. Based on data from the Ministry of Trade, Indonesia export products to EFTA countries with a great potential are coffee, precious metal, footwear, nickel matte, shrimp, and crude coconut oil. Meanwhile, Indonesia's main import from EFTA are gold, turbojet engines, medicines, fertilizers, and a mixture of industrial raw materials. Indonesia has one superior product, is a palm product. Initially, Indonesian palm oil products were often judged to not follow the standard of Western countries. However, with the negotiation by Indonesia, managed to convince EFTA countries that Indonesian palm oil products have premium quality. Next is market access. Market access is the driving factor which is part of specific economic factors and consists of market resorting and market creating. Market resorting is securing market access in countries that have joined the same BTA. This applies if both parties in the BTA experience a setback and a decline in the level of economy. Indonesia and EFTA were never in the same BTA, therefore, market resorting was not included in the formation of the Ie-Cepa. Meanwhile, market creating is the driving factor for the state to approve BTA with the aim of creating new market access. In this case, Indonesia and EFTA have an agreement on new, wider market access. One of the agreements agreed by all parties is to abolish import duty rates in each EFTA country with the number of tariff posts and the percent value of EFTA country imports from Indonesia. Elimination will result in the price of goods becoming cheaper for the consumer. The next is Ie-Cepa Agreement. Figure 3 until 5 shows the increase in export for Indonesian sector to each of the EFTA countries. If a tariff reduction up to 100% is simulated in Indonesia-EFTA cooperation scheme, several sectors that will experience the largest increase in export included machinery, chemical, rubber, metals, transportation equipment, and food products. Then, figure 6 to 8 shows that several sectors experience the impact of increasing imports from EFTA countries with a simulated tariff reduction up to 100%. Sectors that experience an increase in imports from Switzerland included machinery, chemical or rubber, metals, transportation equipment, and food products. Meanwhile, the largest increase in import from Norway will occur in chemical or rubber, machinery, transportation, paper, and metal sectors. And the largest increase in import from Ireland occur in machinery, metal, chemical or rubber, meat, and metal product sectors. While Figure 9 shows that Ie-Cepa cooperation will make Indonesia obtain an increase in GDP of 1.81% with a reduction in tariff up to 100% of the total tariff for Indonesia and EFTA. The increase in output in several sectors was able to boost the Indonesia GDP. The last is the advantage of Ie-Cepa Agreement. The first is expansion of market access to EFTA countries. The second is based on the Vice Minister of Trade. The tariff for entry into EFTA countries are subject to zero tariffs. The next is increased investment by business actors. The next is capacity building in education and training. The next is the use of EFTA as an entry point for Indonesia products into the European Union region, as well as increasing wider cooperation based on Ministry of Trade 2018. The last is assisting Indonesia's economic recovery after the COVID pandemic. The conclusion is Indonesia has established many collaboration with other countries in the world, and it's hoped that Indonesian Cooperation European Free Trade Association Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement can support Indonesia's economic growth in better direction. That's all for my presentation. Thanks for the attention and sorry for the mistaken.